to the revision and control of the Congress. Again, they're not following that either. I'm sorry, at the end of tonight's class, you're going to be very disheartened to see how much of this is not followed in reality. Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, no state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops, or, do you have an Indiana National Guard? We've got a Michigan State Guard, or Michigan National Guard. During the two 20-year unlawful wars of Mr. Bush, did any of your National Guard go outside the borders of the United States?
Yes.
Well, then they're not a militia, are they? They must be a state army. Right? What's it say? No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops, or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state, or with a foreign power, or engage in war, unless actually invaded, or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. It's just a theory, John. It's just a theory. Article 2, Section 1, Clause 1. This is the executive article. The executive power shall be vested in a President of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years and, together with the Vice President, chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2, each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in the Congress, but no senator or representative or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. What are they talking about there in simple terms? Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2.
Citizen has to be an elector.
No, you're missing it. There's a simple term we talk about. National popular vote's trying to destroy it. Electoral college.
Yeah.
Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2. See, these are things you should be able to name. As you get to studying, these are things that should be able to roll off your tongue. The common name for that clause? Electoral college, right there. Okay, let's look at something very interesting. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof. That's an important word, isn't it? Have we learned that words have meanings? Thereof. That means your representative that you sent to your state capital at that time of the vote. Not one from 40 years ago, not one from years past, but your representative that you sent to your state capital that is there presiding at the time the vote is taken. Thereof. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in the Congress. But no senator or representative or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. We violated that in Michigan in 2020, and we have in just about every presidential election back as far as I can remember. Do we have a republic? Well, we're going to find when we get into Article 4 that I'm guaranteed a Republican form of government. One of the keystones of a Republican form of government is representation. So it means each one of the compound republics known as congressional districts are supposed to be represented. But if my legislature from 40 years ago decided that whoever gets 51% of the state gets all the Electoral College votes, we're not following 212, are we? We sure aren't. We're not following Article 4, Section 4, Clause 1. We're not following Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2. And my top Republican senator tried to argue that, well, his hands were tied because a legislature 40 years ago said that this is the way it's gonna be done. He's also the Republican that co-sponsored in the Senate a National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. The man doesn't have the 5th grade skill to read, obviously. That's why we censured him. And we're paying for it too, because he's doing everything he can. Article 2, Section 1, Clause 3. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 persons, of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves, and they shall make a list of all the persons voted for, and of the number of votes of each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States. That's the President of the Senate. Directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and House of Representatives, open all the certificates, and the votes shall then be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes shall be the president, if such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed. And if there be more than one who have such majority and have an equal number of votes, then the House of Representatives shall immediately choose by ballot one of them for president. And if no person have a majority, then from the 5 highest on the list, the said House shall in like manner choose the president. But in choosing the president, the votes shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having 1 vote. A quorum for the purpose shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of all the states shall be necessary to a choice. In every case, after the choice of the president, the person having the greatest number of votes of the electors shall be the vice president. But if there should remain 2 or more who have equal votes, the Senate shall choose from them by ballot and the vice president. Why the Senate? Who is the president of the Senate? Or who was the leader of the Senate? Vice president. Vice president sets as the president of the Senate, right? Article 2, Section 1, Clause 4. The Congress may determine the time of choosing the electors and the day on which they shall give their votes, which day shall be the same throughout the United States. Clause 5, no person except a natural-born citizen, not one from Kenya, or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of President. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States. Even if they are here on an Indonesian passport, I'm just saying. Article 2, Section 1, Clause 6. In case of the removal of the president from office or of his death, resignation, or inability to discharge the powers and duties of the said office, the same shall devolve on the vice president, and the Congress may, by law, provide for the case of removal, death, resignation, or inability, both of the president and vice president, declaring what officers shall then act as president, and such officers shall act accordingly under the disability until the disability be removed or a president shall be elected. Does everybody know who's 3rd in line for the office of presidency if anything happens?
Speaker.
Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
Right now it's Kevin McCarthy. For a while we were in dire straits because it was that drunk from California. Makes me shudder. Article 2, Section 1, Clause 7. The President shall, at stated times, receive for his services a compensation which shall neither be increased nor diminished during the period for which he shall have been elected, and he shall not receive within that period any other emolument from the United States or any of them. 8. Before he enter on the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Everybody ever see serve and protect on police cars? A lot of people get that wrong. Well, they're supposed to serve and protect me. No, they're not. They have no constitutional duty to serve and protect you. They have a constitutional duty to serve and protect the Constitution of the United States, which indirectly protects you. Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1. The President shall be Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states when called into the actual service of the United States. I love how everybody goes, well, the President's Commander-in-Chief. We missed the little word when, right? When called into the actual service of the United States. When can they be called into the actual service of the United States? That's right, only when Congress votes for a declaration of war.
State of emergency?
State of emergencies when they're called into service, right? So, never let a good crisis go to waste. Remember what the Federalist Papers said. The federal government will only enjoy power during times of war and danger. The states have an advantage over that because they have the most power during times of peace and prosperity. Well, what have we been doing since World War II? Making sure that the states don't have any peace or prosperity because we're always in crisis, right? Man, words have meanings. They have meanings. The President shall be Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states when called into the actual service of the United States. He may require the opinion in writing of the principal officers in each of the executive departments, the governors, upon any subject relating to the duties of their respective offices, and he shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. This is called executive discretion. Discretionary authority is given only to the executive branch of government. Why? Well, Madison tells us, in the name of justice alone. So, that's why the executive branch has that discretionary authority. Governors can grant pardons. The president can grant pardons. Your sheriff, who controls the jail, can grant pardons. You realize that? Your sheriff alone controls the jail. He's not a judicial officer. The judge says, I want them to serve 60 days in jail. The sheriff goes out and investigates and says, well, wait a minute, that guy really didn't do it. Does he have to hold that person in jail for 60 days? Nope. Why? Who controls the jail? The sheriff. Why does he have the discretionary authority? In the interest of justice alone. You see how important that is? So you should be very afraid when a sheriff goes, well, I don't have any choice. I got to do what the judge told me. Red flags. Red flags. He's not a judicial officer. Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2. He shall have power by and with the advice and consent of the Senate to make treaties, provided 2/3 of the senators present concur, and he shall nominate, and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers and councils, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States whose appointments are not herein otherwise provided for, and which shall be established by law, but the Congress may by law vest the appointment of such inferior officers as they think proper in the President alone, in the courts of the law or in the heads of departments. This is why you don't get to vote for the director of the FBI or the head of the CIA or the head of any of the alphabet soup agencies that have destroyed our liberties. Yes, I'm a bit jaded. I hope it's not coming through too bad. Article 2, Section 2, Clause 3, the President shall have power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions which shall expire at the end of their next session. Marbury versus Madison is a classic case on this, and also we had a little scare on this during the Obama years, if anybody remembers, right? He shall from time to time give to the Congress information of the state of the Union and recommend to their consideration such measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient. He may, on extraordinary occasions, convene both houses or either of them, and in case of disagreement between them with respect to the time of adjournment, he may adjourn them to such time as he shall think proper. He shall receive ambassadors and other public ministers. He shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed, and shall commission all the officers of the United States. The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Article 3, Section 1, Clause 1. The judicial powers of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges both of the Supreme and inferior courts shall hold their offices during good behavior and shall at stated times receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. Now, when they take an oath, do the judges take an oath to interpret the law?
Uphold the law.
No, uphold the law. Uphold what law? The supreme law, the Constitution. So if they do not live up to their oath, is that good behavior? No, it's not. That's why they're supposed to be impeached when they don't support and defend and uphold the Constitution of the United States. Article 3, Section 2, Clause 1, the judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and councils, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or the citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens or subjects. Pretty specific there. That's why Madison said in the bounty payments for cod fisheries debate, if I remember, the courts are only supposed to be involved in certain cases, not in all cases. Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2, which this covers jurisdiction. In all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and councils, and those in which a state shall be party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. In all the other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, both as to law and fact, with such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make. So I love it when people go, I'll take you all the way to the Supreme Court. No, you won't. It's by leave. They get bombarded with thousands of cases and only take a very, very select few. Right? So I love that when somebody goes, I'll take you all the way to the Supreme Court. Yeah, okay. You're not very smart. Article 3, Section 2, Clause 3, the trial of all crimes except in cases of impeachment shall be by jury, and such trial shall be held in the state where the said crimes shall have been committed, but when not committed within any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. Does anybody know that there is a common law court on land patent land in Detroit and Kansas? Because those were territories when that was created. So they couldn't be federal courts because they weren't, it wasn't, it was just, they were territories. Federal territories, not federal land. Article 3, Section 3, treason. Article 1, treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of 2 witnesses to the same overt act or on confession in open court. 2, the Congress shall have power to declare the punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture except during the life of the person attainted. So we can't go, well, all those Routans are dirty. That one committed treason, so we're going to lock them all up. Can't do that. That's corruption of blood. And in law enforcement, we see it horribly today. I know that family, they're a bunch of crap, right? So you got one person trying to do good. They got no choice because of their last name. It's not supposed to be like that. 14th Amendment, equal protection. Article 4, Section 1, full faith and credit. Full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state, and the Congress may by general laws prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings shall be proved and the effect thereof. This is why if you get married in Indiana and you move to Montana, you're still married. This is why if you've got a driver's license in Florida and you drive to Nevada, you're still a legal driver. This is why if you have a concealed pistol license in Michigan and you go to New Jersey, you get locked up. Never quite it's just a theory, John. It's just a theory. Article 4, Section 2, Interstate Comedy Clause. The citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. 2, a person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime who shall flee from justice and be found in another state shall on demand of the executive authority of the state from which he fled be delivered up to be removed to the state having jurisdiction of the crime. What's that called? Extradition. Those are state extradition rights. And who usually carries out the extradition? Who? No. Governor has to sign it. Marshals. Marshals carry that out, but it has to come from the governor. Clause 3, no person held to service or labor in one state under the laws thereof escaping into another shall in consequence of any law or regulation therein be discharged from such service or labor, but shall be delivered up on claim of the party to whom such service or labor may be due. You realize there was more than just slavery in the United States. There was also indentured servitude. There was a ton of Dutch and Irish that were in this country under indentured servitude. Article 4, Section 3, Clause 1, new states may be admitted by the Congress into this union, but no new state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state. Yeah. Isn't DC completely in the border of Virginia? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how is it that we're even talking in Congress with any seriousness about DC being a state? How is that?
Just
Hmm?
theory.
Yeah, it's just theory, John. We can do what we want. With 218 votes. Yeah, okay. This is what scares me. Okay, so right there is the reason why DC can't be a state. Article 4, Section 3, Clause 1, 431, DC can't be a state. New states may be admitted by the Congress into this union, but no new state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor any state be formed by the jurisdiction of two or more states or parts of states without the consent of the legislatures of the states concerned as well as of the Congress. Has anybody ever heard about Oregon and Idaho? We may have a completely different Idaho and a completely different Oregon. They're actually entertaining the thought of it. And if Congress approves it, it's going before those state legislatures right now in serious talks. Because the whole western side of Oregon is really, really sick of the woke crowd on the West Coast. And so they want to secede those counties to Idaho. Well, that takes Oregon agreeing to it, Idaho agreeing to it, and Congress agreeing to it. But right now it's looking like the two states are getting real close to agreeing to it. So this is going to be interesting to watch.
Now, the counties and the burgs inside that state, that doesn't change.
Yeah,
It does change.
those counties get pushed, go over. So the border of Idaho would come over and down and like that. So what happens is the congressional seats for Oregon will change, and the congressional seats for Idaho will change, right? The Electoral College for Oregon will change, and the Electoral College for Idaho will change. Now, they've done a study, and they found out by losing all those counties to Idaho, they'll actually have more money. And tell me a government that doesn't like more money. It's all about more money, right?
Which means more corruption.
Oh, yeah. I did say it was Oregon, didn't I? The western side, yeah, nothing but corruption.
Does Indiana want Hillsdale?
Yeah, we've been talking about seeing if Indiana will take Hillsdale. See if we can secede to Indiana. It's just a dream. It's just a dream. I finished that one, right? 2, the Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States. And where did we find what property the United States can own? Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, right? Forts, ports, armories. Is that ringing a bell? So the Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States. And nothing in this Constitution shall be so construed as to prejudice any claims of the United States or of any particular states. Article 4, Section 4. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislature or of the executive when the legislature cannot be convened against domestic violence. I guess Congress didn't read this when they considered Texas, Arizona, California, Southern California, right? We've got an invasion happening in the South. The United States shall guarantee to every state this union a republican form of government, representative government, and shall protect each of them against invasion.
say it.
Article 5, Section 1. The Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to this Constitution, or on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments. What's that called? Convention of States, we've heard? That's what they're talking about.